Anybody who thinks Xbox is better than PlayStation lies.
Yeah, this ain't the podcast for you.
No, you're lying to yourself. You're not lying to us, you're lying to yourself.
Yeah.
Straight old facts right now.
It's like the whole Android Apple debate. So I would say if you prefer Xbox over PlayStation, you're definitely an Apple person. But you as an Apple owner, yeah, you'd say the other way around, wouldn't you?
100%.
Yeah, I'd tar them all with the same brush. Xbox, iPhone, off you pop. Hey everyone, thanks for being here today. I'm Ellie.
Hi, and I'm Wes, and this is What This Time podcast, coming live on every platform that you can get it on. Today, me and Ellie are going to have some conversations about different things, get into it straight off the bat, and you know what we do here. You've seen us before, you get to see us again. So, Ellie, I've been thinking, and it's been on my mind quite a lot.
This is never a good sign.
Never a good sign.
Wes has been thinking.
Not safe for anybody. But at the same time, I swear I've been getting more and more deja vu in the past probably year, more than I ever have before. Right? So picture this. You're in bed at night, you go to sleep, day before. You don't forget your dream, you're in there, you can't forget any of it, and you're like, wow, this amazing dream that I'm in. And then when you wake up in the morning, you're like, I had a really good dream last night, but now I can't remember any of it. Even though you swear you could remember every single thing that happened. And then you go to work or you go out for the day, and you sat there in a pub or you sat there at work, and you turn to someone and say something, and you go, wait, now I remember my dream. This is exactly what I said in my dream last night. Don't you think that's a little bit weird?
So, I actually have a little fact here. I think it's a fact. So, I did a dream therapy course. Don't ask why. I just did. And it was talking about, what are dreams? Why do we have them? And talking about remembering dreams and recording dreams. Yeah. And the big thing is, so, when you wake up and you sort of remember a bit about a dream, but you can't really fill in the blanks, and you're like, what happened? And then later in the day, it clicks. You see something, you smell something, you say something, and you're like, that's what it was. That wasn't what it was. So if you've ever fully remembered a dream, you'll realize it makes no sense. Like, you go in your handbag and you pull out the Eiffel Tower. Obviously, physics, like where you are, it doesn't work. But in the moment, it makes sense, right? So your brain creates ways to make sense of it throughout the day. So you remember tiny bits, but they don't make sense. So your waking brain, there is a word for it, I can't remember what it is, but creates a story so that it makes sense. So you say, oh, last night I dreamt about this. You probably didn't. Your brain has just kind of filled in the blanks for you. That's what the course said. Yeah. How true that is, I'm not sure, but it definitely makes sense that would be a thing. And it says within the first 3 minutes of waking up, after that, you've lost it. And for people who want to record their dreams, they should speak it into a little voice recorder thing or make notes. That is the only way to remember what actually happened without your brain messing it all up.
Well, do you know on the brain thing, and this is what happens with people who don't have a perfect vision. So most people, you have your eye provision, and you can see outside of your constant seeing zone or whatever they call it. I don't know the technical term.
Like periphery or something.
Yeah, so your standard peripherals, you can see straight forward, and when you're concentrating on something, you can see something directly. But then what's in the corner of your eye, or what we call the corner of our eyes, our brain actually makes up for us. So people who are actually blind on the side of their eyes actually see people walking past them and stuff. Even though they could be in a completely boxed off room, their brain is automatically just filling in the blanks. So you could be there looking at your screen on a computer in an office, but then the next thing people are seeing people walk past them, people are seeing, something out the corner of the eye, which is actually not there, but their brain is constantly trying to figure out what's there, and it can't comprehend that it can't actually see anything. So coming back to the dream scenario, your brain is constantly working all of the time to fill in blanks, whether that is if you're a little bit blind and it's filling in the blank there, or whether it's in your dream and it's trying to fill in a blank there. It seems like it's always constantly working to try and fill something in. But my point on the dream is that, is it actually reality of what you're thinking about or what you're dreaming about? Is it a past life that you could have potentially had? Or is it telling your own future? That's the bit that confuses me. And that's kind of the bit that obviously I wanted to put to you. Because how do we know, or how does your brain put that into that story, whilst at the same time it seems so real and feel like you've lived it? And then when your brain starts piecing it all back together in your mind, you're like, I've relived this day before. And so you change it as much as you can to make it different, but your brain already knows that that's what you're going to do. Does that make sense to you?
You lost me a bit in the last part, but kind of.
Because it feels like, and this is the bit, it's so confusing, it's such a technical topic, that when you're dreaming and it's coming through to you and you're like, oh, there's deja vu, I put this cup down in my dream, and then you start to remember the rest of the dream.
Yeah, everything kind of starts to piece together.
Yes, that's
is that
the
your
point
brain
I'm
filling
trying
in the
to make.
blanks, or is that what you're getting at?
Yeah, that's the bit that I'm getting at, yes.
Yeah, so this course explained it like that. But I do think with dreaming, there's a bit of a deeper meaning to it. I think ones that can be quite deep, I've had them before. And when you kind of sit back and analyze it, it makes sense. And okay, I didn't record it within the first 3 minutes of waking up, so how accurate is it? But from what's going on in my life at the time, and even if my brain has filled in some blanks, it still makes sense why I'd have that dream. So I don't know how much your brain fills in. I don't know if it's different for different dreams, like just normal dreams. Maybe it will. And the ones that have an actual meaning. I think dreaming is just so, what's the word? It's just wild. Like, I think there's just so much to unpack and cover in that area.
Yeah, because you have some pretty crazy dreams, right?
Oh, I've had some
I can
wild
remember.
ones.
I can remember some crazy shit. Like, they say dreams are connected to obviously your stress levels and how you're feeling. I know that much. And I know they talk about things like that, and they go, you know what, depending on what your mood is at the time when you go to bed, is depending on how you dream. But then at the same time, I've had really good days, but then had some really bad, like, nightmares after a really good day. Like, to the point where you're waking up in, like, a cold sweat, and you're like, God, I can't believe that just happened, and you can't even piece it together in your own mind, even though you've had, like, a really good day. So I'm a bit confused to obviously what pieces that together as well.
I think your brain has an amazing way of retaining information that you don't necessarily notice. So you could be scrolling Facebook, you're having a great day, you're out with your friends, it's sun shining, you're having fun. And you scroll through Facebook and you see someone that you went to school with and you think nothing of it. They haven't posted anything bad. You see that name and it doesn't even click in your brain that you've seen it. But your brain has a way of storing information, the stuff that you're completely oblivious to. And I know a dream for me that's always kind of stuck with me. I think that's how that happened, because I'm like, nothing particularly bad happened that day or that week. But I had a dream. I sat back and analysed it a little bit and thought, this one feels like a deep one. Let's unpack this. And it made sense. It made a lot of sense. And it could have just been triggered by something, I've seen someone that looks like someone. You've seen a name on Facebook. You've seen, even when you're scrolling on Google and you see a word, like you said, out of your vision, you're not looking at it, but I think your brain takes in a lot more than we realize. And I think dreaming is a way for your brain to unpack stuff that we're not necessarily thinking about and dealing with in our waking lives.
Do you think that it's linked to also past trauma as well? You think that could be a factor into dreaming?
Yeah, definitely.
Because especially some of the dreams that we have, and I'm speaking for me, and I know Ellie, you're speaking for yourself. But even like some of the bad circumstances that I've gone through, and good as well. So it is on both sides of the aspect, kind of come into play with your dreams. And sometimes they can really trick you thinking that it could be reality. Whether that's, I don't know, you got a job promotion, so that in this dream you do get the job that you're looking for. It's all going really well, and then boom, you wake up, and you're like, for the first couple of seconds after you wake up, you're like, God, I can't believe I got that job. And then a second later, reality hits you, and you're like, well, that didn't happen. Why am I thinking like that? And also the same with the negative. The negative side, if something's happened to you before, I don't know, you've had an argument with somebody, but then it gets brought back up in your dream, and then you're sitting there thinking, why am I still arguing with this person? It's been
this
years.
was 5 years ago. Get over it.
Yeah. But your dreams are just bringing it back into reality, and they're creating these stories which really can get to you mentally and even kind of physically, because you wake up in these cold sweats and panics sometimes if you've had a really bad dream, or on the flip side, a really good dream. You can wake up obviously in two different ways, and it does really confuse me. And like going back to, like I said earlier, it makes me think that, could we have walked a different path before, and then it's brought you back, and you're like back at a reset point, and you get to go and have another go. Because sometimes it's like I said, really good or really bad, and you kind of walk the path in between. There's never really a clean-cut way or the perfect way to move on forward after that dream. And then again, you don't even know what you're making up of it. Like you said, some of it could be just your brain piecing it together.
Yeah. I mean, the way I've always looked at dreams, so obviously, people out there may not know, I have narcolepsy, and a part of that is like vivid dreams, going into dreaming sleep or REM sleep way too quickly. So it can happen while the body's still kind of awake, which makes it easier to obviously remember and make them feel a lot more real. So I've had some wild ones on that. But the way I've always kind of looked at them and had it explained to me by, sleep professionals like my sleep doctor, and people who know a lot more about it than I do, is, scientists don't know for definite why we dream. It's never been proven. There's no real fact, but the leading theory on it is the brain unpacking things. So like you said about the trauma, that would make a lot of sense. It doesn't matter how long ago it was. If you have never dealt with it in waking life, it's always going to be brought back up one way or another. And if it's not happening in waking life, it's going to come up in your dreams. And that makes sense. It's the brain making sense of situations that have happened, possibly trauma, good things that have happened that you've not quite wrapped your mind around yet. I think it's just a way of the brain dealing with and making sense of certain things.
Yeah, I get that.
And as far as I know, that is the leading theory on why we dream.
Yeah, because it's like this is a massive topic that really does confuse me. You can even see me sat here. I'm like baffled by all these things that are going through my mind of different ways that what a dream could mean, and it's like trying to find the meaning of life. You don't really know the aim of the game. We're all put on this earth, and we don't really know the ins and outs. There's so much that happens in our minds that is so difficult to comprehend. And sometimes you can't even put it into words because it is so difficult to understand. And, you look at these people that are like really rich and famous. So people who create books like J.K. Rowling, for example. She had this amazing thought in her mind that could have been a dream, which was Harry Potter. And, she's put that pen to paper, and it's got to come from somewhere. It's not just imagination on its own. because you got to think what they're saying, what these people look like. There's something in your mind that's doing all of this, and there's some really vivid things out there, and some people have brought a lot to life, and it seems crazy to me, really crazy.
I think dreaming is just such a it's like a broad spectrum as well, because obviously you can have lucid dreams, you can have sleep paralysis, which is it dreaming? It's like hallucinations while you're still in REM sleep. Your body's paralyzed, which it should be when you're dreaming.
Yeah.
To stop you acting it out. So it's like that, but you're dreaming while you're kind of awake. Obviously, you have your normal dreams, you have your nightmares. There's just so much that it can be. And it's wild.
It is absolutely crazy. And there's no start and stop point either, because they say, don't they, that you only dream for is it a couple of minutes during the whole sleep?
You should go through cycles.
Even though you think it's this massive play action which lasts for the whole time that you're asleep until you're awake, it's only like a split second over the full time.
I think it's a few minutes from what I understand. So you should go into it between 60 and 90 minutes of actually falling asleep. And then you cycle back through your deep sleep, light sleep, REM. I don't really know the order, but you cycle through until you wake up. So there's probably, 3 or 4 maybe dreaming points throughout the night.
Which is crazy, right?
And I'm not sure either. Are they the same dream splitting into those parts? Or are they different dreams, but you only kind of remember one? I don't know.
Thing.
Is the information out there? If anyone knows anything about this, let us know in the comments section, because we're clueless.
100%. And at the same time, it's something that's really intriguing us. And hence the reason it's a topic today, because we want to know as much as we can from what other people's opinions are, whilst at the same time, putting some of our crazy theories out there. My crazy theory is we could be living 2 lives and we see a part of what another life could have been or is, or, that's kind of my way of interpreting it. Yeah, it's crazy, but it's just a thought, I
feel like you're looking at it like Moon Knight. There's 2 versions of yourself. You fall asleep, you lead another life, and you just wake up thinking it's a dream.
Yeah, that's
have you seen Moon Knight?
I have, yeah.
It's so good. Very off topic, but it's very good.
It is, yeah. But that's what I think it is. It just seems really crazy that it kind of just stops there and it's meaningless and it's just a story in your head. I feel like there's always another option to explore with it. And I think sometimes that's also what helps growth imagination, and that's what makes things grow into something like I was saying earlier, J.K. Rowling writing something like Harry Potter. If you believe that thing is real, you can really create something out of it. And I believe that's what a lot of the rich and famous do, by taking all these emotions that they're going through, especially while streaming, and putting them into reality.
Yeah.
So, my final thing is on this before we move on.
I am not ready to pack this in yet.
Oh, wow. Oh, God. I was just saying my final bit on it, and he's not even ready. God.
So there's so much to go through.
Please enlighten me.
So one of the wildest theories that I've seen on why we dream and what is a dream is astral projection. Have you ever heard of that?
Not personally, no.
Whether it's real or not, I don't know. A lot of people believe in it. A lot of people train to be able to do it. But it's basically you get yourself into a state of essentially lucid dreaming, which is obviously falling asleep, being aware that you're asleep and that you're dreaming, and being able to control that. And astral projection takes that a step further. And basically people who believe in it and who can do it, if it's real, they believe that they then enter a separate plane. So you're almost like your consciousness leaves your body.
Yeah.
And, your body's safe in bed in a comfortable position, but your soul basically is somewhere else.
So is this a little bit like the film Inception? Have you seen that film?
I have not.
Okay, so just to tee you up on Inception, so you know what I'm saying by that, is basically they believe that if you go into other people's dreams, you can control them and make people think that things have happened even though they haven't.
Yeah, so in
It's a
astral
big
projection,
massive film.
there's groups of people that will try and achieve it. And if they do it, so some of the stories on it being true and it actually being a real thing are, say to your friends, say me and you say, right, let's astral project tonight. Let's meet up on this other plane. Like, I'm going to come to your room and get you. And the stories of people having like a shared dream almost, having a shared experience of this astral projection where their friend or whoever they're trying it with shows up and they can say, right, you know, I did this, I put something on your nightstand or whatever, and in the morning it's there. Again, how true they are, there's no proof, and obviously it's a massive thing to even think that sort of stuff is real and doable. But there's definitely people out there who have a lot of stories.
That's crazy.
Yeah, and one of the wildest theories on dreaming is people saying it says astral projecting, but not knowing that's what we're doing. So some people train and know that's what they're doing and they try for that. Some people can do it more naturally, apparently. But some people believe that we dream as a form of astral projecting without even knowing it. And I think that's a rabbit hole that I went down for a long time looking into that. And I was like, I mean, it's a mad theory to think about. But it's very interesting.
100%. Because that's like living, like, whilst we're sleeping, and it seems so crazy, whilst your body is resting, you could be sitting and having like a work business meeting in a dream. Right? So even though your physical body is resting, you could sit there and have a meeting with somebody or a conversation or go out for a mythical dinner or go out for some drinks with somebody or what you think of going for a drink whilst being in deep sleep, right?
Yeah.
That's crazy.
It's like an out-of-body experience. Like people that say they've done it, they say they feel like a warmth in their body and then they feel themselves going really light, almost like a feather, and they're floating up out of their body and they can see themselves lying there. Some of them, not all, but a lot of stories say, you know, they can see themselves lying there and they just float up through the ceiling, over the roof, onto this other plane of existence. And they're fully in control as well of how to get back to the body. There's a lot of things about crystals. I don't know how much of that you know. I was quite big on it for about a year back in my teenage years. But people use like certain types of like healing crystals to try and like tether their soul to the body so that they can easily come back and fight off, like ward off like evil from the body while they're not in it, because obviously they say it's unsafe to leave your body without a soul because it's easily possessed and things like that. But obviously that goes on to a whole other topic.
It sounds very dangerous with the sounds of it at the same time. This is
but the
really
argument for that is this people lucid dreaming? Because obviously that's a real thing. A lot of people can do that. A lot of people can train to do that, and some people just can't. I never have. I've never been able to. But you know, the argument against the whole astral projection thing is it people lucid dreaming, and they're so in control of their dreams, they can control that they think they're leaving their body, but because they believe it's real, they think it is. And I mean, who knows? Because how do you prove something like that?
You can't, can you? I don't think anybody can, unless there was a way to guarantee you that you can do it so you can see it for your own two eyes. And I think that's the only way that you'd be able to prove something like that. But that sounds crazy, as in, maybe not the people are crazy, but the idea of it sounds crazy. It just does, because it doesn't seem like something like that would be physically possible. But then again, there's nothing to say that the realms of possibility don't allow you to do that. Because if people are saying that they've done it, and people are saying that they've experienced this out-of-body feeling, then clearly they're feeling something to make them think that. Because in reality, people don't lie for the sake of lying. It can only get you so far. But if a lot of people are coming together from different places and saying they've felt this feeling before, it stops becoming a coincidence or a lie and turns into, like what we're talking about now, a theory of that it can actually happen. And if that did happen, the theory, the world would just continuously run for 24 hours. Nothing would ever turn off. The body would, in theory, your minds would never turn off properly. You would still be working. There'd be ways of taking advantage of all sorts of things if you, in theory, never had to sleep. Which seems wild. Wild. And there's so many advantages to it. What happens if you could do your online food shopping? You know,
I mean,
I'm out of the day.
You say this, I've actually done shopping in my sleep before. Right,
What?
it sounds like an excuse to spend money, right? But let me explain. So I got a parcel through the door. My mum shouts me, "Ellie, you've had an Amazon delivery." I haven't ordered anything that I know of. Like, has someone sent me a present? Am I special? No. I had ordered something on Amazon. Don't really know what I was going for, but what I'd ordered and what turned up were 100 A5 plastic wallets. Why in my sleep I decided to go and buy them, I will never know. But they showed up and they're still somewhere in my room. I thought maybe I'll need them one day. I don't need them.
That is random.
I also managed to do a full misguided shop. And the clothes turned up.
That one's Sleepy Ellie.
Well, I was like, I don't remember ordering this stuff. This is going to be a nightmare. I don't have the money. Like, I'm going to have to send it all back. And I opened it. Right. I was like, somehow in my sleep, I have managed to buy stuff that I will actually wear and in the right size. So do you know what? I'm going to count this as a little present to myself. I'm going to keep this.
It was a win.
Yeah,
it was a win.
It was a surprise, but, new clothes. And technically it wasn't me who spent the money. It was Sleeping Ellie. So we're two different people. It's fine. But yeah, online shopping in your sleep. So in the narcolepsy group that I'm in on Facebook, that's a big thing. Like, people have spent thousands in their sleep without knowing about it.
Imagine. Oh, I really fancy a MacBook. Sleeping Wes, can you hear me? It turns up the next day. I didn't order this.
But I'll keep it.
But I'll have to keep it now. Ooh.
Yeah, I've done some dumb stuff in my sleep. A lot of dumb stuff.
And the thing is, sleep as well, like sleepwalking is a big thing, and sleep talking, right? And people have conversations with other people whilst sleeping. It's a very common thing. Like, one of my best friends, Bill, sometimes he would ring me. So it'd be like ringing me to say, oh, well, I would think it would be to be like, oh, you're all right, what you up to? Do you fancy having to go on Call of Duty or something like that? And it's not. It's a broken conversation that is really random, and it's a sleep call. And it will be something along the lines of, he'll ring me and go, oh, you all right, Wes? And I'm like, yeah, good, mate, you? And he's like, yeah. I'm just walking the fish, and then once I've done that, I think I might come on Call of Duty. And I'm thinking to myself, right, is this guy all right? But then when you go, okay, mate, no worries, what time are you thinking of coming online? His next thing would be like, well, yeah, so I took the kids to school, and now they're in school, and yeah, I'm on my way home. Now nothing's starting to make sense, and he's chatting utter ramble. Just random things. But they are replies to what you're saying in a way. So it kind of makes sense, but it's like, this ain't the right time for you to be answering me with these answers. But you can still see that his brain's working. He's made a phone call, which is crazy. And then whilst at the same time, just giving me these wacky answers. it's madness. Some of the stuff that he comes out with. He's like, yeah, I've just got to finish cooking dinner, and I'm like, Bill, you're not cooking dinner, are you? He's like, no, I'm walking the dog. It's like, really? I don't get what you're saying here.
At my old workplace, so I was working full time. This was before I was diagnosed and obviously before I was medicated. So my sleep and my issues were just a lot worse.
Yeah.
And quite often I would not wake up in time to go to work. And the workplace were really accommodating. They let me take like the work laptop home with me. So if I didn't make it in one day, obviously I didn't take the piss with it. But I'd have the laptop, so I'd ring them and be like, hey, sorry, just woke up. You know, I'll work from home and then on my lunch I'll get the bus in. And they were really understanding about it. Really good. But one day I woke up and I don't even know what time it was. I don't even know if I was that late. I don't know. But I woke up in a panic like, oh my God, I need to ring work. And I rang and it was just, so obviously I didn't remember it. But one of my work colleagues that I was really good friends with outside of work as well, she rang me later on that day laughing, and apparently she put me on loudspeaker to the office. So that was great. Cheers for that. But apparently I just rang up and there was no, hey, sorry, I'm late. Like, I must have woken up in a panic and then fallen immediately back to sleep, which I do a lot. And I just rang and was like, yeah, the cat's got a scarf on and the mouse is running away. And I'm just talking utter shit, right? That doesn't make sense. Yeah. She's put me on loudspeaker. Everyone's gathered around and had a good old laugh. Excellent. But yeah, that's the thing. So with
it's
Bill,
definitely a thing.
Yeah, it's mad. We do some dumb shit in our sleep, but it always makes a great story.
It does. It does. Even myself, I'm guilty of doing it. I've been at occasions where I've been late to work, which, to be fair, is very not like me. I'm normally quite on the ball. I am the person that has 500 alarms on his phone. That's definitely for sure. But there has been occasions where, like, I've woke up for work and I'm like, yeah, mate, I'm driving on the way there. It was like, did you just flush the toilet? No, you know, like that half asleep you. There's like, you know, just woke up. You're like, yeah, my way. I
think
you do some mad stuff when you just wake up or your brain's not functioning properly.
I think so. There's 2 points I want to say on this before we kind of wrap up, unless you've got anything else.
No.
Point number one: the most frustrating thing about when I was working and getting up in the morning, right? So, like you, I'd have like a million alarms. You snooze half of them without even knowing you've done it. The rest of them, you're like, yeah, 5 more minutes. And then you see one and you're like, shit, I have 10 minutes to get out the door. So hop out of bed, you know, you're like, right, haven't got time to shower, but kind of need to, right, jump in there real quick scrub, scrape your hair back, let's go. And, you know, as a woman, you like to think it's that quick. It's not. Then it's like lipstick, put your shoes on. Oh God, what am I going to wear? You know, this doesn't go with this. Whatever. So you're in a rush, you're panicking, you're getting ready. It's all stress and you feel a bit drained. And I'd do all that. And I'd pick up my laptop bag. I'd go to head out my bedroom door. And then I'd wake up. I hadn't done any of that stuff. I'm still in bed, hearing that alarm that's going, bitch, you late, okay? And I'm just like, I already feel drained because I've already done this. Physically, I haven't, but mentally, I've already drained myself by getting ready. And the amount of days my mum would come into my room, Ellie, you're late. And I'm like, well, I've already got ready. I don't want to do it again. There would be tears. There would be tantrums. It was just a bad time. And it was just the worst thing because I've already done it. I don't want to do it again. But you have to.
That bit.
So annoying.
Wow. If that did that to me, it would be, I'm sick. Can't come in today.
It was at least once a week that it would happen. And it was always as I went to walk out my door. And the amount of times in real life, I'd go to walk out my bedroom door and I like stop for a minute and I'm like, am I going to wake up? No? Right, we good.
Yeah,
you're just so annoying.
Pinching yourself. Is it definitely me this time? Am I definitely the one doing this? Yes, I am. Right, we're good to go, people. Good to go.
Honestly, the days where it was just I made it out the bedroom door, it was a whole celebration. It was great. They were the good days.
Well-deserved celebration.
They were the days I'd go to Greg's on the way to work and be like, do you know what? I've earned this bacon bap.
Damn straight.
Might be 10 minutes late, but fuck it. Like, I'm up. What more do they
Well
want?
deserved Greg's breakfast.
When I used to walk into work, so I worked in a centre that was quite far, so it's a different town from where I live. So I'd have to be up a lot earlier. 2 buses. One of them was like over an hour with a bunch of school kids, which was just the worst thing in the world.
I would not want to get on that bus.
It was horrible. And I never made it on time. I wasn't late, but because of the bus times, if I missed so if I made the first bus, I'd then be walking around the town where I worked for like half an hour, and it was very rare I'd be up and ready in time to get that bus. The next bus would get me there about 10 minutes late. And I explained this to work, and they were like, look, you work quite far away. It's fine. Obviously, just don't take the piss. Make sure you're here on time for meetings and whatever. Other than that, like, we trust you to, like, you do you.
Be an adult.
Yeah. And the amount of times I'd get into this little town where I worked, and I'd be like, you know, I'm already late. I'm just going to go Greg's. Like, I'd ring them and be like, guys, I'm already late. You know, I'm going to pop to Greg's. Do you want anything? Because I'm going. Like,
and every time they went, yes, can I have a bacon sarnie, please?
Yeah.
Yeah, I'll have a coffee. Yes, I'll have a donut. Yes, please get me this. Oh, McDonald's is round the corner. Can you just get this, please?
McDonald's was just round the corner. You might know the town where it was sort of between where we are, Wes. I think you know the one.
I do know the one.
And there was 2 Greg's 2 streets across from each other. So if one was busy, it's just like, well, I'll go to the next one. Excellent.
Convenience is key.
Exactly. That town know what they're doing with their Greg's placements.
If one was busy, the other one shall not be.
Exactly.
So I will go to that one. Because it is crazy, you know, the Greg's stuff, but even just on that, there is a Greg's everywhere. Where I live, there is 4 Greg's. 4 Greg's. 2 in the centre and 2 that you can drive to. Tell a lie, 5 Greg's. 5, and 1's a drive-through. Why do we need that many Greg's? Like, come on.
I'm not sure where my nearest one is. We have an outlet just down the road, like walking distance. There's a road with a few shops on it that's near me, and that's a Greg's outlet. It used to be a Greg's, but I'm not entirely sure what the outlet is. I think they sell like the pre-made stuff that you have to cook yourself. Am I right in thinking that? Is that what it is?
I don't know, but it just sounds like it's a Greg's that sells nearly out-of-date stuff.
For the area,
that's what an outlet would be, yeah. Because that's what like an outlet is, right? You know, you go to like a clothes outlet, it's like coming out of fashion now. You can get it cheap. Greg's outlet.
I mean, I've never been
out of
there,
date,
but...
and we get it. I've never heard of it before, which is really intriguing.
You know, my area, we just like to be different.
If you have a Greg's outlet near you, please tell us.
And let us know what it is.
And how good it was. And if it was worth going. Because I'll tell you something, we will go there and we will find out if it is worth it. We will go to the Greg's outlet.
You gotta love a Greg's, haven't you?
Gotta love a Greg's sausage roll. Telling you.
So when I go, I'm like, do I want a sausage roll or do I want a pepperoni pizza slice? And every time I'm just like, fuck it, get both. Every time.
Yes, every time.
I could be in my overdraft, and do you know what? I'm still getting both. I don't care.
Damn straight.
You can't decide.
Hail to the gods. That is exactly what you need to do. And you know what? I have the same problem, but I like the sausage, bean, and cheese like bake. Oh my god. It is like a little breakfast in a bake. It is a great. I love that thing.
See, I'm not a fan of cheese.
That should be a debate itself. Everybody in the comments right now telling you now cheese is the way. Okay. Please tell us cheese or cheese not.
So, you know when it's on a pizza, like, it's fine when it's not the main event, if that makes sense. Like,
I could eat cheese, don't matter how it is, block of cheese, square of cheese, baby bell cheese, cheese string cheese, cheese on top of cheese.
Okay, cheese string cheese, I'll give you that because it doesn't taste like real cheese, so I quite like that. But I've got to really be in the mood, you know. But for some reason, so when my sleep's really bad and I'm up at like 3 a.m. and I'm starving, I want food. I don't care what the food is. I just want something I can eat. For some reason, my brain always goes, make a cheese sandwich. You know you want one. And I don't want one. I don't like them, right? But every time I make a cheese sandwich or I make cheese on toast, and every time I sit there eating it with almost tears in my eyes, like, this is horrible. Why am I eating it? But my brain always craves it. In the middle of the night, all my brain wants is cheese. And I don't
There's
know
so
why,
many
because
ways
it's
to have
disgusting.
cheese.
It is just not good.
Cheese is so good.
So bad.
Cheese is so good. There's so many ways to have cheese. Honestly, I'm going to sound like Bubba off Forrest Gump when he's talking about shrimp. I swear to God, it's literally going to be one of those. It's like, halloumi cheese, you can have it fried, you can have it grilled, you can have it raw if you really want to. Then what they do is they make cheese kebabs, they make cheese curries, they make cheese everything, cheese on toast, beans and cheese on toast, cheese sandwiches, baby bell cheese, dipping cheese. There is cheese for
It's
everything.
fine if it's not the main event. If I can taste cheese over everything else, it's just bad. But like on a pizza, you have like pepperoni. You know, you go to Domino's, you get the absolute banger. You get like a bit of sausage and whatever. You get all these different flavors going on. The cheese is there, but it's not the main event. That's okay. But just like a cheese sandwich, it's just bad.
We're putting a GoFundMe up for cheese because Ellie doesn't eat it.
I think
Feel sorry for you,
it's more
cheese.
the aftertaste.
So
Like, you just can't get rid of it. And cheesy crisps, oh my God, they smell like feet. So my partner
They
has
are-
a really bad obsession, right? The other day, bought mini cheddars. And I'm like, just don't eat them near me. Just no. Mm-mm.
Fun fact, best selling Walker's flavour is cheese and onion.
Disgusting.
Fun fact for you.
If someone eats them in the same room as me, I have to leave because it's just, oh God, it's horrible. It is horrible.
Cheese is so good.
Now we're going to have to
It's
agree to disagree on this one.
good. There's so many different types as well, and they all have a different flavour. It's like, wow. I could
But
sit
do you
there
know
and
what
eat
else
cheese
has
all day.
different flavours?
Yeah.
Cake. Why do you need cheese? Just have cake instead.
I don't like cake. Yeah.
Hang on.
Yeah.
I've seen you have a cake from one of those Green King pubs where they do the little cake things and whatever. I've seen you
but
get
that's
a
not-
big ass slice of cake.
Yeah, but it's carrot cake. This is the thing, right?
That doesn't
So-
count. That's grim.
Right, so this is the bit where it gets a bit weird, right? I don't like a birthday cake. Don't like cake. I don't like the sponge. I just find it dry. I like carrot cake.
You're not getting the right
and, like,
cakes.
cheesecake and things like that. I like all of those, but if you was like, oh, we've got a birthday cake here, like standard Victoria sponge, I just don't like it. There's just, I don't know if it's because of the dryness or something along them lines. It's just something that puts me off massively, and I'm sat there thinking, I just don't like it. It's not like it would make me feel sick. I just don't want to eat it.
Okay.
If it was an option, I'd just be like, no, I'm all right.
If you're saying cake is dry, let me just tell you, if your cake isn't moist, your cake is wrong. Okay, it's got to be.
Even if
It's
it's
got to be
moist.
moist, like fluffy. Oh, so my cousin's wife just makes the best cakes, and honestly, like any family event, right? Honestly, I think 90% of us just go for the cakes. They're so good. Like, it's good to see the family as well, but the cake, oh my God, so good. It's
There's
like
so
it's the
many better
highlight of
options.
Christmas. Like, she makes this chocolate one, and it's just like, I don't know how to explain it. It's just the best thing. And I've always said, if I ever get rich, like if I ever just had a lot of money, I would just pay for a weekly cake,
Wow.
and I would pay a lot for that. Plus,
See, this is
I'd
the
pay for a
thing.
lot of weird things if I was rich, actually.
Like, honestly, my mum, for my birthday, doesn't get me a birthday cake. She gets me a birthday cheesecake. And that's probably
Okay,
been a
cheesecake
thing.
is good.
That's probably been a thing for probably the past 10, 11 years, maybe even longer. I just don't like cake. It's just something that I'm not interested in. Like, my grandma will always make a cake for someone's birthday. Even for my birthday, she makes a cake for everybody. But I never have a bit. And I don't mean it in the wrong way. She knows I will not have a bit. And it's nothing to do with her cooking. Because, fact of life, grandmas make the best food ever. It's like, I just don't like cake. So my mum always, to be fair to her and fair play, because most people have a caterpillar cake, the OG king, God
Good
rest
old
his
Colin.
soul, whichever realm he's in at the minute, whether he's stuck in Aldi, M&S, or whichever battle he's in at the moment. Don't know which one. But she would always, instead of like getting like that £3, £4 cake, she would always go out of her way and get me a nice cheesecake. So I've always appreciated that. But yeah, I've just never been a fan of the cake.
To be fair, I'd be okay with replacing birthday cake with like a lemon meringue or something.
Wow. Oh, yes. What?
Stick me a few candles in that. Oof.
Yes. Oh, my God.
I've had
Anything
one of them
lemon.
in ages. I'm going to buy one
Meringue.
like tomorrow.
I agree with that statement.
That's so good. Do you know how many people don't like them though?
Like, if they don't like it, there's no point talking to them. They're just not on the same wavelength.
My partner,
They
we went
don't get
shopping. And you know when you're like in Asda or wherever we were, like Asda, Morrison's, some supermarket type thing. And we're going to like, you know, the desserts and like the frozen bit. They have to like defrost and whatever. I mean, let's be honest, supermarket defrosted lemon meringues are fucking mint. And I was like, oh, I've not had one in ages, let's get one. And he's like, no, I don't like them. And he just got ice cream. No chocolate fudge cake to have warm with the ice cream, no cookie dough, just ice cream. Oh, let's get a few sprinkles. And I'm like, you had the option of a lemon meringue and you chose ice cream.
So just to let everybody know who's listening to the podcast today, Ellie is now on Tinder.
Yeah, I have made a new profile. I am now, looking for an upgrade.
Doesn't like lemon meringue pie.
Yeah, the only thing on my profile is looking for a man who likes lemon meringue pie. If I ever get married, it will be part of my wedding cake.
Exactly. And then obviously, it's just the rules. It's just got to be done. Oh, it's absolutely crazy that.
I feel like we need to get together one day, Wes, and just share a pie.
Just share a pie. That's it. It's so simple and it's so easy. Just share a pie.
We don't have to talk. We don't have to look at each other. We just share a pie.
Share a pie. And put it on here.
Next episode, just us eating pie.
Just eating pie. It's so good. But the thing is, I like anything lemon. Lemon in general. I like lemon sweets. I like lemonade, even lemon cordial that you put in water or dilute or whatever anybody calls it, pop or whatever you called it as a kid. I like the lemon and lime.
Call it juice.
Juice. Yeah. Juice is like apple juice, right? And orange juice.
Yeah, so I have a Scottish friend who sent a Snapchat of a load of like fizzy pops, so like Cokes, Fantas, Irn-Bru, they're Scottish. Like, I've got so much juice. And I'm like, babe, I love you, but that's not juice.
That's pop.
Yeah.
We all know what pop is.
It's even not juice.
Even Americans, right? If we go to them, we have got pop. They understand that pop means soda. They understand that. They don't even question it. They just go, yeah, I know what you mean, man. They get it. Like, best impression ever. But they get it completely. Even Beardo gets it, and he's like, here, get it here.
Hey, bud.
He gets it straight away. He understands what we're saying. But I can't believe that she's like, yes, look at all my juices. Nah, love, that's Fanta. Behave yourself. Some fizzy pop, that.
Scotland's just a whole different breed of people. And most of the stuff, I love it. The accent, like, you've seen those COD videos, right? Everyone's seen it. The Scottish people are just raging. It is like God tier comedy. It is amazing.
100%.
And I feel like everything sounds so much better in a Scottish accent. You can call someone anything, right? You come up with any noun, and it's just funny. Like if I said to you in my basic Midlands accent, "Oh, where's you absolute drywall?" You're like, "What?" But you say that in a Scottish accent, and it's just top tier insult.
Best thing ever.
Yeah.
But there is some good insults out there. Now, I love my best friend to death, and he comes up with the best Call of Duty insults in the world. He has come up with some amazing ones over the time. And at some point, he will be on the podcast to explain himself. So that'll be his chance to explain them, and I will not take his glory right now.
Yeah, I really want to say the one that everyone loves, but I'm going to leave it to him because it sounds so much better coming from. It sounds more genuine.
It does. It sounds so real
And you
and
know
so
which
hard.
one I'm on about as well.
Yeah, won't be sitting at the top of the stairs anytime soon. Let's put it that way. There's some great ones out there. But yeah, but we do have some fun times, whether that's on like Call of Duty or playing whatever we play at the whatever the hit of the week is, so to speak.
Firelight has been a good one for longer than I thought it would last.
Yes. So anybody who's into gaming, there is a new game that's come out, and it is called Firelight 84, and it's free to play. Play on your phone, play on anything.
I don't think it's out on console.
Maybe not out on console, but it is on PC.
If you're still playing on console, get a PC.
Upgrade. Find a friend. Find a friend who can build a PC, then build a PC. If you can't find a friend, go on PC Finder or PC Specialist or whatever it's called. You can buy one off.
I went on
Buy one from them.
AlphaSync, eBuyer, I think they're like merged or something, but that's where mine's from, and it's pretty good. I think for someone who knows what they're doing with a PC, it'd probably be amazing. For me, I just think it's going to blow up all the time. It makes a noise, and I'm like on the phone to my little IT tech guy, and I'm like, help.
Help me, it's broken.
I think I've sent him 2 messages just today to ask about, like, why has this popped up on my screen? What does this mean? It's just, I should really pay this guy.
Yeah.
Or just go back to PlayStation.
Or go back to PlayStation. Anybody who thinks Xbox is better than PlayStation lies.
Yeah, this ain't the podcast for you.
No, you're lying to yourself. You're not lying to us, you're lying to yourself.
Yeah.
Straight old thanks right now.
It's like the whole Android Apple debate. So I would say if you prefer Xbox over PlayStation, you're definitely an Apple person. But you as an Apple owner, yeah, you'd say the other way around, wouldn't you?
100%.
Yeah, I'd tar them all with the same brush. Xbox, iPhone, off you pop.
I love my iPhone. It's fantastic. Does everything I need.
That's because you buy into the good marketing that they do.
Fantastic marketing.
They make terrible phones, market them exceptionally well, and say, you need to have this. This phone will change your life. If you don't have this, you're nothing. And gullible people like this guy will just eat it right up. That's the way I see Apple. And I know a lot of people get hate for this because some people just hate Android. But it's so much, it's just more user friendly. You know, you want to switch phones? You switch phones, you go for it. You want to switch on Apple?
You can do that on Apple now. You can do that on Apple now. You can do that on Apple now.
Even if you switch from Android to Apple or Apple to Android, easily.
Yes.
How
it's
easily?
A thing now. Same thing, you just scan the QR code on the phone and it brings it all over.
Okay, so my Android phone, this is one bad thing about having them, or some of them, it doesn't actually scan QR codes.
Oh.
I put it in my camera and my phone's like, what do you want me to do with this? I don't know.
Wow. Well, no, because there's another thing as well with the Android phones, which Apple, and I will say this to Apple, have fixed since the original Apple iPhones that came out. So, like, when I was a kid, the one thing with the iPhones which were terrible is the battery life. Now I think it's the other way round. Because when I look at Bill, bearing in mind, I know I keep bringing Bill up a lot. He's my best friend, so I will. But he has the newest Google phone. The newest out there, the new Pixel Galaxy thing, all the flashes and gimmicks.
Okay, Pixel is Google, Galaxy is Samsung. Get your facts right, you silly Apple user. Continue.
Valid point. So, anyway, he's got this thing, this new app, Google phone. He's had it 2 months. The battery life is awful. It doesn't even last half a day. And this is a brand new phone, pretty much out of the box. And to put it to another stance, I have an Apple phone. I have been using it all day for work, non-stop, and I'm still at 50% battery life. 50%. Now, for me and what I do every day, I'm constantly on my phone, making phone calls, in the chats that we need to be in. A lot of my work comes from my phone, and I'm on it constantly. And even now, at 9:30 at night, when we're recording this, it's still at 50%, which you don't get with any Android user. It's the same with my work colleagues, and this is my point to it first before Ellie rips my head off. With my work colleagues who have got the new Galaxy Note and the Galaxies in general, they all have a similar issue where the battery life just doesn't seem to hold. And just to further it even more, you look like you're on Minecraft when you take a picture on anything.
Oh, that's pop off.
And just another little quick one. Their phones just get filled with viruses. It's constantly an antivirus software killer. That's all you have to do 24/7. I think even in the settings on newer Samsung phones, and this is even Samsung, I think there's a built-in antivirus software where you have to click on it and it kills all the viruses in your phone. Because it has to, because of the Apple Play Store, the Google Play Store, whatever it's called, because anybody can upload anything, it brings viruses onto your phone, like an old computer would. So you have to constantly be going through and clearing the caches so that everything gets cleared off. Not with an Apple phone. Don't need to do that. Works quick, works every time, and does everything that I need it to. Bye, Apple.
Right, can I kick off now?
Yes.
Can I pop off? Okay, so I'd like to say at 9:30, when we're filming this, my phone is currently on 68%, right? I have been out today, I've been taking photos, and anyone who knows anything about like phones, batteries, anything like that, having the camera open kills your battery quite fast. Snapchat is another battery killer. I live on that app. It's how I contact all my friends. We have group chats on there and stuff. So, yeah. I've been doing a lot of like social media stuff for the podcast today on my phone while I've been out and about. Googling things, looking into things for like Twitter and Instagram side. My phone is on 68%, right? And so I had a Huawei P20, old phone now. I had it for years. It did what I needed to.
Huawei.
The camera was really good. At the time, I thought it was good. It was, but obviously there's been upgrades since then. I had that. It got damaged. Rang the insurance. They were useless. So I was like, right, cool. Need a new phone. My sister had a Huawei P30 Pro. And I've I've heard good things about this. It's a bit old by this point, but I'm like, looking at the specs, it's a good phone. It was bloody good. But she wanted that back. So I ended up getting this. And this is an Oppo Find X5, I believe.
They've got really good reviews, they're not Oppo phones, and they're really cheap as well.
Yeah, so I was amazed, right?
No.
When I first got it, bearing in mind the battery life on the Huawei wasn't bad, but if I went out for a day and was taking photos, so bear in mind, obviously I did modelling, so sometimes, when I go out, everything's a photo shoot. Life is just one big photo shoot. And, you go somewhere, nice scenery, like, oh, take some photos. As a woman, you need 50 to get the right one, So it's constantly got the camera open, especially more when I was doing that side of things. And the battery, it was fine, but it wasn't great. This little pocket rocket, I love it, right? So I bang it on charge in the morning, just not while I'm getting ready, but just, finishing touches, and it can be on like 60% or whatever. And it charges so fast, like incredibly fast. I love it, which I've never had with any of my past phones. And it just holds that battery really well. So this is on 68%. That's after being out for the day. I think I put it on charge. So I'm a little bit addicted to gin rummy at the minute. And, mobile phone games. They kill your battery a bit.
Here we go. Context is
yeah,
starting to come
I went on
through.
Gin Rummy. I was trying to like unlock some safes and stuff earlier. You know, there's a little leaderboard that ends tomorrow, so I'm like, I need to play. Like, I need to be in this. So it was on charge while I was playing that, which was probably 20 minutes.
Yeah.
Bear in mind, while that game's open, it's not so much charging as it is maintaining. It's just not losing battery, but it's not really going to go up that much. It's still on 68%, and I've done a lot on my phone today. So you say the battery life on Android can't be compared to Apple. I will argue that point.
And
massively.
I think this is where the context has to come in, because depending on how you use your phone, I think comes a big context into this. Now, on my phone daily, I probably make somewhere in the rough region of probably 200 phone calls, maybe more, and probably send similar in texts, if not more, or some form of messaging, whether that's WhatsApp or whatever we're using, emails for work or whatever.
And then there's me, who will sit and watch my phone ring and ignore every single message until 3 o'clock in the morning.
And it's non-stop. And when I say it's non-stop, I mean, you even see it if you go out with me for the day, and, you know, you was with me a couple of weeks ago and went out. And even then, my phone's still buzzing, my phone's still going, and I'm not at work. So it's still going non-stop. And I'm doing that constantly, all day, every day. And my phone is fantastic. It's such a key piece of work. And, you know, obviously different people have different phones. It's always the same split, though. It's always a solid 50-50 of Android users versus Apple users. There's never, I would say, a majority. I don't think there always is. If someone leaves the team, that person will always come in with a Samsung. If they left with a Samsung, it always seems to be the case for some weird reason. But I think when it comes back to, like you were saying, on user-friendly, the Apple iPhone is super user-friendly because it's basic, and that's what it is, and that's why people don't like it. Because it is what it is. It says it on the tin, it acts the way that it does, but it is basic. The apps come up on a page. If you want the app, you click the app, and that is it. There's no, this home screen with all these fancy things on it, and then you can click that, which opens this, and you can go to this subsetting of that, and this and that. That's what makes it complicated about Android phones. I think it's just dead simple to go into an Apple iPhone, and boom, your apps are there. Click the app that you want to use, and you can use it. If you want pictures, click pictures, and you can go on pictures. If you want to do this, you can do this. And when you're talking about cameras and stuff and things like that, they're all the same now. You can go on a phone with an iPhone, and you can take a crystal clear 4K picture off an iPhone. Boom, done. If you want to do it on a Samsung, you can do a picture on the iPhone, crystal clear 4K. If you are wanting to go and do photo shoots, buy a camera. That's what they're there for. Your phone is just there for things like taking pictures of your lunch, taking pictures of the nice view, taking pictures of family photos, all which can all be done on any of these devices. But you're right, Apple's marketing is the best marketing that has probably ever been seen. And on top of that, all the accessories that they release for their phones can only be used on Apple products. So they're very smart with how they do things. If you buy an iPad, right, boom, you need to automatically be an Apple user if you want it to connect to your phone, then to the AirPods, then to your watch, and you would have to stay on the Apple line to keep them all connected. Whereas if you was using Android, you can use a Google Watch if you wanted to with an Oppo phone, because they allow them to connect together just through an app.
Okay, you say the marketing is smart. I say it's manipulative. But with the camera stuff, it's like, okay, I think there's a point to be made for Apple photography and Android photography, and I think they both have strengths and weaknesses. So my partner has an Apple phone, And while we were out today, we're taking photos of the exact same scenery. And I'm like, right, can you send me yours? Because so the sky looked quite whitewashed on mine. If I went into the pro mode and did that, I couldn't be bothered. You know, if I wanted to do that, I'd have taken my DSLR out, taken my little Nikon.
Yeah. Yeah, you take a camera, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
But like the clarity and the contrast was a lot more balanced on the iPhone. But I think the overall quality is better on my phone. You get different things. And yeah, I mean, for me, I've not really been looking into phones that have been released recently. But the phone that I really, really wanted, and I just couldn't afford it on contract at the time, that was the Samsung. Is it the S? What are you doing?
I'm saying, bet it's the flip phone.
No. Like,
the flip
don't
phone.
take me back to the 90s, please. No, it was the S22 Ultra, I believe. S23 Ultra. It was one of the two.
Cool phone.
And the camera on it is insane. And I went hiking with a friend, and we went up to the Peak District, and we're taking all these photos. And this was back when I had my little P20 that was a little bit shit, a little bit old. And the photos and the videos on his phone, I was like, they are incredible. Please send them to me. Like, they look professional. And I wanted that phone so bad for years. Now, I dare say there's more that's been released since then. That phone's, 5-6 years old now, maybe?
Yeah, I can tell you what the newest phone is while we're talking.
Like, there's a lot more that's come out since then. But that, at the time, for the camera and video, that was the best on the market. Like, you couldn't compare iPhone with it. I don't know about now. I don't even, what iPhone are we even on now? Like 27 iPhone? I don't bloody know.
Well,
Something
at the minute,
stupid.
the newest iPhone that's out at the moment is the iPhone 14.
What happens when they run out of numbers?
Well, I don't know, because that's the question. It's the same thing with the, what's it called? The 22. They're on 22 now. I can remember when the first Google Samsung Galaxy came out. And don't get me wrong, I was the same as everybody else to begin with. I got the very first Samsung Note that come out with a stylist. It had a stylist in it. Like, I don't even know if that's a thing anymore.
Yeah, there's a newer one that's come out that's got like a little stylus thing. The only one I ever had with a stylus was it like the LG Cookie or something?
Yeah,
it was very pink. I remember that.
And it had a stylus, and it was an awesome phone at the time. But then, like, some of the things that I bought up today, like the viruses, just caned it. It caned the phone, and it really did make it difficult.
So I actually forgot you mentioned that point. That was another one I wanted to bring up: the viruses. So you're saying, you know, we don't have this problem on Apple. You do on Android. I've had Apple phones in the past. Didn't like them. Didn't get on. Went back to Android. And I've never had a virus. And you're saying that Apple's got this built-in thing, you click a button, it's done. Android has the same. Oh, I was going to say Android has this optimizer thing where it clears out all the junk viruses, any like duplicate files, stuff like that. Really easy to use. Love it. Love that thing.
Yeah, it does. Whereas on an iPhone, you don't have to do that because.
Well, I haven't done it in a long time. It's more. I make my dad do it very often because he's one of these who goes, "Oh, I wonder if there's an app for this," and then tries to download a free version that's not real. And he downloaded an app for Google Translate, and I'm like, "Dad, you just go on Google. You don't need an app. Like, bro, come on." If there's an app for it, he will download it. Doesn't matter if it's anything he's interested in. He's like, "This is amazing. I want it." So I'm constantly like, "Go on your optimizer, clear out all the shit." I don't really need to do it. I've never had a virus. The only person I know in person who's ever had a virus on their phone is someone who has an Apple iPhone.
Really?
Yep.
Because out of all the time that I've had them, never had any issues like that.
Well, you're not clicking on enough dodgy links.
And yeah, that does have a part to play with it. It's true though, isn't it? It does have a part to play with it. If you're searching for weird stuff and you're trying to get to the dark web and shit like that, you're obviously going to get more viruses as you go. But obviously one of the big things to obviously put into that context is that really, Apple just don't have that issue at all. It's not really a thing that really happens
I
on
don't
Apple
think it's that
phones.
common on phones in general, though, because I think a lot of people that are using phones in a way that you're at risk of getting a virus, you know, people that are searching the internet, using social media and clicking on ads and whatever, are more like our sort of generation who are a bit more wary about scams and viruses. I don't know if it matters so much what type of phone you're on, what type of device it is, whether it's Apple, Android. I think it's just not an overly common thing on phones as much as it is computers, where it's a lot easier.
Yeah,
Because we're a
it's
bit
very
more
easy.
smart about what we're doing with it.
Yeah, but you've got to remember these Samsung phones and these Google phones and these Android phones, they are computers
All
built for a
phones are
phone's purpose.
computers. They all have a little CPU in them.
Yeah, but they are what they are. They're like computers built for a phone's purpose. They kind of, it's a phone second to the computer. Hence the reason they are amazing. And this is the one big thing about them, and it's the big talking point for, especially for business users on a day-to-day basis. Maybe not what I'm doing, but as a general business user who is constantly on emails and constantly using Excel, Word, and all of these different documents that you would normally use a computer for, the Android phones are far superior than Apple with them because they work hand in hand with these things. Whereas the Apple phone tends to be very straightforward to this is a phone. Yes, you can download fun apps on it, but no, the majority of it is for the phone use. But if you're going to be doing multiple things on these phones, other than taking pictures, calling people and texting, and the odd email, Android is probably the right way to go for you. That's what they're built for purpose. And I think that's sometimes what people forget. They are expensive phones. All of them are. None of them are cheap. I'm looking here now. For the latest Google phone, it's going to set you back nearly a bag, and it will for the iPhone, and it will for the newest Samsung. They're all going to set you back £1,000 plus
Not my little
for
Oppo.
these phones, and that's why the Oppos are like obviously a big thing at the moment. They're
I got
massive.
a free
Like,
tablet with my Oppo. It's great.
people are buying them left, right, and centre, and that's probably one of the biggest things as well. If you are an Apple user, like I was saying, you buy everything Apple, and then unfortunately you can't ever make that switch without making all your other devices in theory useless. You're giving up everything. So if you've invested in the iPad, you've invested in the earbuds or the Apple Pods, you've invested in the Apple Watch, and you've invested in the phone, you've built like this big connection hub, and that's what it's designed to do. So the only thing is you replace the parts when you need to. The newest watch comes out, but you want a new watch. You've had this one for 3 years. Boom, you just replace the watch out, and it'll work perfectly back in the link with all your Apple products. You know, it's designed to be super easy and super convenient to do, and it is, but they're all under that one barrier. Whereas, like I said before, with the Galaxy Buds and stuff like that, they still work on other Android phones. So, you know, the convenience is there, but at the end of the day, it does come down to personal preference as well. A lot of that does come down to that.
Yeah, so this is the thing. Like, I'm obviously like team Android, your team Apple. That, you know, that's my opinion. I'm not saying Android is better in every way, shape, and form, and anyone who buys Apple is a gullible idiot. I did say that earlier. But it's preference, and it's what you want to use it for as well.
Yeah.
Android does what I need it to do. There is certain apps that I won't be able to get, but I don't need them, so I don't care. My dad is a musician. He wants Apple products, although he thinks his iPhone 3 is still like doable, and he's like, "Oh, why won't it download this app?" I'm like, because it's 20 years old, bro. Like, just you've got to upgrade your tech. That doesn't matter whether it's Android or Apple. Upgrade at some point, please. But you know, he wants like certain music apps for when he's like teaching piano or doing gigs. He wants certain things to work, and you can't get those apps or anything that's similar, like to the quality as the Apple apps. So he has an iPad, and he did upgrade it last year. Thank God. I was at my last little straw before just yeeting the old thing out the window, because every day he's like, "How do I do this? Why isn't this working?" And I'm like, "You ask the advice, and then you don't take the advice." He upgraded. Everything's fine. But yeah, it's preference. It's what you want to use it for. Will that one do what you want it to do? Yeah, for me, camera has always been the biggest thing that I want from a phone. Camera and battery. And my Oppo does that.
Yeah. And if it does that for you, well, that's what you go for. And I think that's the thing. And especially with obviously what's coming out now, is in reality, you know, when it comes down to it, it is all about preference. I'm just looking through here. Look at all the different brands that there is. You've got Google releasing phones. You've got Apple releasing phones. You've got Samsung releasing phones. You've got Sony releasing phones. They're even giving tellies away with their phones. You know, some of these Sony ones that are here, that is crazy. Like, literally, a TV with the phone as like a gift. The Oppo phone, it's literally right there, A57. Motorola are putting out new phones.
A Motorola's still a thing?
You can get the new Motorola flip up, you know, like that new Galaxy where it like flips out like that. They do the original Motorola now that's a flip.
Oh my God. So
it's
I had a Motorola flip
40.
when I was like 10, maybe? And now they're bringing that back.
Yeah, Motorola Razr 40. Yeah. So let me have a look. So at the minute, the only one that they've got left in stock is it in green at 256 gigabyte. Everything else is sold out.
Wow.
That's crazy, right? Like, it's a big seller. Then obviously you've got all these fold phones and flip phones again now. Azomi, I think that's how it's pronounced. They're bringing out phones. Even Oppo have got a flip phone.
Why are flip phones coming back?
I think it's for the convenience of being in your pocket.
But I mean, this is fine to be in my pocket. Like, it's very flat and it's not.
Like,
why do we need flip phones back? I feel like we moved on from that.
Like, literally, even Oppo have bought out a flip phone. It is crazy. And I thought we'd move forward from that years ago.
Next thing you know, we're going to be getting Tamagotchis back, and they're running out of ideas. They're just going back to what worked in the early 2000s. Let's do that again.
Yeah. The one thing which I think is really cool, but it won't take off yet with phones, is the whole what Samsung and Google have done. And now Google's version looks way better than the Samsung counterpart, which is the one that turns into a tablet, the fold phone that turns into like a little tablet. I think that idea is phenomenal. I think that really is inventing something new. Like, you don't have to have an iPad and an iPhone anymore. You've got a phone that turns into an iPad if you want to watch stuff. And if you want to use it as a phone, you've got a phone.
So I don't know if it'd be different because it's a phone and it's, you know, you use it more in daily life. But my laptop folds into a tablet. It's one of those 360 ones, you fold it all back and it goes into a tablet. And I was amazed by it when I got it. And I sent a link of it before I bought it to the guy who was the IT technician at my old work. So I know nothing about computers. And I'm like, hey, is this good? Should I buy it? And he was like, yeah, it's good, but don't buy it for the tablet feature because you will never use it. And I thought, nope, you're wrong. I know better than you. I'm going to use it all the time. For the first week, I was fascinated by it. Since then, it kind of just pisses me off because you fold it back a little bit too much and it enters tablet mode and you're like, no, I don't want you to do that. It's great because it's touchscreen and for things like Photoshop and like finer details, much easier than sitting at your PC trying to do it with a mouse. But the tablet feature itself, he was right. I hate to say it. I was wrong. He was right. I've very, very rarely used it. And I wonder if it'd be the same on a phone.
But do you know, on the phone, now this is where I think it would be different. So we're all guilty of it. You know, we sit there and watch YouTube videos or TikToks, right? And we all do the same thing, but it'll be on a bigger screen. we are mesmerized by this big screen reality. You know, bigger the screen, better it looks, more interesting it is. You know, you go to the cinema, you see the massive screen, and you think, "Wow, I'm watching this movie on the big screen." You know, that's the whole point. And you'll be watching this or whatever it is that you're watching, either it's a podcast or whether it's a YouTube video, all off the bigger screen. But when you want to use the phone purpose of it, you know, you've got the smaller screen for the phone purpose, small screen for the phone, big screen for when you're watching stuff or typing emails out, because it adds a keyboard feature. So when it's flipped up like that, like a laptop would be, you type it on the keyboard here whilst you've got the note bit there. There's a few things that really make it interesting, and maybe that you would use it in that aspect.
I think it's an interesting idea, and I think it depends what you're going to use it for. For me personally, a little touchscreen phone with a little keyboard at the bottom, that's fine. I think anything else would just feel a bit like too much effort almost.
Yeah, I can see what you mean.
You know, like you were saying, like using it for work or you're watching stuff. Like, I can see why people would want it. It's just not something that would really appeal to me, personally.
Well, what about this then? The price of it is £1,749 for Google's version.
Okay, if you're going to spend that much on that, just get a laptop that folds into a tablet. Like, what?
It is
That's
a phone.
a lot of. Yeah, I get.
What you gotta
But
remember.
like, what's the camera like, and what's the battery life like, and things like. When it comes to actually being a phone rather than a miniature computer or miniature laptop, what's it doing as a phone?
So phone camera wise, 48 megapixel rear lens with a 10.8 megapixel ultra wide.
It's not bad, but
that's the same as your Samsung. Same as your Samsung Ultras. Same style of camera. You know, it's still got all of that.
Though, I would expect something.
So
something
your
amazing.
camera's like, yeah, well, your camera's the same as the leading phones. Battery life, I'm just having a quick scroll through to see if it says anything about battery life. It's obviously got all the security features, and this is the thing with Google. They're turning into Apple because they know what they're doing here. They're like, oh, pairs perfectly with the Pixel Buds and the watch and the tablet. If you get all the Pixel stuff, it joins together. It sounds very similar to another brand that we're aware of. You know, there's a few things happening there. It's 5.8 inches a phone, and then 7.6 inches when it's folded out.
Okay, and what's the front camera?
Front camera is sorry, I've scrolled up from the camera bit, so I need to scroll back down to the camera bit. So that's that one. It doesn't actually tell me.
Does it have a front camera?
Actually, I press tech specs.
Right.
This will tell me. This shall tell me. So this is what it says with the battery life. So it says beyond 24 hours battery life guaranteed. Fast charging with USB Type-C. Everything's going to that. We know the new iPhone's going to be that as well.
I think
front
they're changing everything to that, right?
Yes, everything is USB Type-C. So all the new Apple iPads are USB Type-C already. All the new Apple laptops are USB Type-C already. It'll be this Apple phone, which is released in the month, this coming month, that will be USB Type-C, and it will be their first phone that's gone from Thunderbolt to USB Type-C. The front-facing camera is the same as the wide pixel camera. It's 9.5 megapixels.
It's what, sorry?
9.5 megapixels.
See, I would expect better for that price.
And then the inner camera
I would want at least 32 on the front.
But that's dual megapixel. It's got 4K video recording at 60 frames a second. For those who understand frames, we do as people, it's something that we look at all the time. Obviously 5G networking, 2 years warranty, scratch resistant glass, and that's what it's saying. And then it says it guarantees updates for 5 years. So that means the minimum lifespan of the phone would actually be 5 years.
So I'm just looking for comparison. The Samsung Galaxy S23 Ultra.
Yeah, what camera does it have?
Primary 200 megapixel.
So it's slapping this then, isn't it?
Yeah.
Because this is the Google
F-stop
version.
1.7 after, that's doing a lot, right? I'm trying to see the front one.
It'll come under tech specs.
Okay, so 12 for the front, but let's be honest, the back more than makes up for that. And 12 isn't bad for a front camera. In the right lighting, 12 is more than enough. In lower lighting, it's probably going to be a bit blurry, not great.
Yeah. Well, let's look at their fold version because it's the same price, by the way, for the Samsung Fold as it is the Google Fold. So bear in mind, we're probably going to have to compare apples for apples here because we are obviously looking at the same then phone versus not looking at the same phone. Because otherwise, if we are going to compare it to a normal phone, you could compare it to, well, the normal Google or anything like that. It's more about the actual camera on the bigger Fold one that I'd be interested in knowing. If there's a way to look at that, I'm not actually sure, if I'm completely honest with you.
I'm still looking at this phone because I still want it. I know it's not old, but it's probably not the best one out there. But the cons for the camera. So it says things about noise in low light and indoors. But I mean, you could spend thousands on a Nikon or a Canon or any sort of proper camera. If you're using it in those conditions without the right lighting, you're going to get that. That doesn't matter how much you're going to spend. And that will be the same on any kind of phone. Some will perform better.
Yes.
In lower light. But the noise, it's always going to be there. You can't just make something that isn't there. The camera's picking up what's there. It's, reflecting the light, reading the light. If the light isn't there, it's going to struggle. And that doesn't matter what phone you've got, what camera you've got. It's how you use it. And anyone who knows anything about photography, it's all to do with lighting.
Yeah.
Doesn't the word photography actually mean like light drawing or light painting, something like that? Lighting is key with everything to do with cameras.
Well, under display camera on the Fold version of the Samsung is 4 megapixels.
What is?
4 megapixels, the front facing camera.
Okay, that's bad. I would not buy that for any amount of money.
And bearing in mind the Google one's 9.5. The ultra wide camera is better than the Google's. It's only 10 megapixels on the Google. I believe that's what I said. You might have to go back to find out.
That's right.
100% or something along them lines. It's 12 megapixel on the ultra wide. And it's still slightly better on the standard camera at 50 megapixels, which the other one was only 48, I believe.
Mm-mm.
So in reality, the phones that are very similar priced are very similar spec-wise, but in comparison to a normal phone, like you was just saying, they're not even on the same wavelength, are they? Really, in reality, they're not even on the same wavelength.
But then I suppose you're creating those phones for other use. People who are more interested in the camera side of things will go for a phone that's built for that. It all comes down to what you're using it for.
An expectation as well, don't you?
If you're spending that amount of money, you want it to do everything. You want it to be all singing, all dancing, jack of all trades.
This is £1,750 we're talking about here. We're not just talking about a bit of chump change, are we? That people have just got lying around. Because even when you look at the Pro system on the Apple, even the Pro system on the Apple is the same as them on them cameras. Theirs is 48 megapixels, so it's only the same as the Folds. It's not even a fantastic camera system. Still does what you need it to do, though. Still does the 4K pictures that you want it to do, but still clearly not as good as that Samsung one that you was looking at.
Well, for context, this Oppo, I think so. It was on a deal, but I'm pretty sure it was somewhere in the 300 range, maybe. It was on a deal.
They're not expensive in comparison to what we call as a premium phone.
They're very budget phones, but for context, bearing in mind, one of the main things I wanted out of a phone was good camera. The rest of it, the memory, all that, doesn't really interest me. Battery is obviously a plus, but the camera was the biggest thing for me. Now this one, the one I have, the primary camera is 50 megapixel, and the ultra wide is also 50. And you think of the price of that, and then the price of that fold one you were just saying about.
Or even the Apple phone at £1,000.
Yeah.
That's a Pro, 14 Pro.
And my phone was a few hundred. I dare say it, in like performance-wise, probably no comparison to the more expensive ones. But for someone who wants it mainly for a camera, that's not bad.
It's a bit mad, right? And especially even with the iPhone, there's something, they need to change something with that. You don't even get a plug in the box. Crazy, that. Crazy. Don't even get a plug in the box. You're spending £1,100 on a phone and you don't even get a plug. I know that sounds really ridiculous, but it's a plug and it's £1,100. You don't get a plug.
You have to go out and buy your own plug.
You've got to go out and buy your own
say on the box that plug not included.
Plug not included. It literally says what's in the box, the phone and the cable. That is it. If you didn't have the plug or you wasn't a USB Type-C user, you would have to go and buy a plug.
Yeah, see, that's bad.
Crazy.
I mean, plugs aren't expensive, but it's a bit of an inconvenience. You get a new phone, you're like, oh yeah, I've ordered this phone and I'm going to charge it up. Oh wait, I can't because I need to nip down Poundland and buy a plug.
But it's even to the point of nowadays, it's like, can you remember the time when you got a phone and there was a phone case in the box already?
You got earphones.
And you got earphones, and you got a plug, and you got a cable, and you got the phone. And sometimes you even got a screen protector. You don't even get that now. It's not even a thing. You just get the phone, and you get a cable. That is it. Madness. I feel like we've definitely gone on a bit of a tandem here, right?
Yeah, we started on dreams. I mean, you had so many other topics and you're like, which one shall we start on? We didn't even get to the other three. We ended up on Apple versus Android.
Apple versus Android.
And that was not even one of our previously discussed topics. It's kind of appeared.
And it's one of the biggest topics ever.
Yeah.
And it will always be a battle of, I don't think it should be Apple versus, Apple versus Android is probably the best way to put it. Yeah. It's crazy because it's such a topic that everyone can get involved in. And you guys at home, you could be sat watching on an iPhone or you could be sat watching on an Oppo or
even one of those fancy flip phones.
Or a flip phone.
With the terrible cameras.
And please tell us, if you've got a flip phone, is it worth it? That is my question of the day. Is it worth spending £750 more than the average other phone just to get the flip? Is it worth it?
I have to think, for that price, there must be something we're missing that they completely excel in. Whether that's performance, like storage, there's got to be something that makes it worth that money because I can't see it being just the fact that it flips open. That can't be it.
That seems to be the only thing that I can see. That seems to really be the only thing that I can see. They've all got the best processors in, like their normal phones do. They've all got the best processors. They haven't got as good cameras as their normal counterparts do. They have a similar battery life to what their counterparts do. There's nothing else really that stands out other than the flip feature. Changed my mind.
Yeah. If
Please
anyone does
do.
own one or knows anything about this, I am genuinely really interested in why that one. What does it do differently to the more cheaper options? I want to know because that's crazy to me. It just flips open. And we all had flip phones in the early 2000s. And yes, okay, these ones are a lot better than the ones I remember, obviously. But other than, it's a bit of a throwback to your teenage years, what is it giving you that's worth that money? And this isn't me being like, why did you spend that much? It's not me being judgmental. It's just like, tell us what it does differently. I'm really interested in this.
As am I. As am I, because I'm just as shocked and baffled. So, but I think that concludes our argument on Apple and Android. Does it not?
I think so.
I think so. I feel we've covered a lot of points here.
We've disagreed on a lot as well. Jeez, phones.
Phones.
What's next?
It's been a bit crazy. Well, that's all for another episode.
What
and
next
that's
time?
all for you guys to find out next time. It is indeed. But as far as I'm aware for now, that's everything from me. Is everything from you?
I think I'm still in shock about this flip phone and the price of it. I think I need to take a moment to just go and do some research and process this. I think.
So I know for a fact that is going to be the one thing on Ellie's mind for the rest of the evening. And if you know Ellie like I do, and you've been watching along with us, she will check everything and watch every video and do loads of background checking information on this phone
I will
to make sure
notes, right? I will get
worth it.
a little college-lined notepad and I will be making notes and I will sit there until 5 a.m. Googling everything there possibly is to know on this topic. And then tomorrow I'm going to completely forget about it and it's never going to cross my mind again. But tonight I will know more about this phone than anyone has ever known. Just for the one night.
Just for the night. And it was worth it just for the night
Yeah.
because now you know everything that you need to know about the flip phones.
So flip phone users, flip phone developers, when I can't sleep tonight and it's 6 a.m., I'm blaming you. This is your fault, okay?
It's all your fault.
All your fault.
But thank you very much for tuning in to us today. We appreciate absolutely everything. We appreciate you taking your time out of your day to spend with us here. And until next time, thank you very much.